The 2004 to 2008 Acura TL. We are going to cover just the regular TL in this video. I'm going to make a separate video for the Type S because that car deserves a separate video. But here we're going to talk about some of the basic specs so you have a good idea of what the TL is all about. And then we are going to talk about some interesting facts that you probably did not know regarding this sedan. And finally, I'm going to go through the various model year changes that happened between the different model years. So let's get started with this video. Okay, in 2004, when this generation of the TL first came out in the United States market, the vehicle came with a 3.2 liter naturally aspirated V6 engine with VTEC. Now these NA V6 engines, these are pretty much some of the biggest highlights with Honda Acura products. They have a great sonorous, high quality tone to it. When you rev them out, they just feel very satisfactory when you drive them. This vehicle produced 270 horsepower and 238 pounds-feet of torque. It had a 6,800 RPM red line. The compression ratio was 11:1. These engines did require premium 91 octane fuel. I'm not really too sure about how many owners actually followed that instruction, but Acura did recommend using 91 octane. There were two transmission options available to you: a 5-speed automatic transmission with sequential sport shift, and also, for the first time ever in a TL, a close ratio 6-speed manual transmission. This manual transmission, it's not just a different transmission option, okay? There's actually a lot more to it. The manual versions of the TL was treated like a separate sport model almost. It wasn't quite advertised that way. There weren't any crazy badges or anything like that. But when you got this generation of the TL with the 6-speed manual, you actually got a helical gear limited slip differential. You also got upgraded Brembo brakes, and these are just some of the updates, and we're going to go through more as we progress in the video. The suspension architecture was proper with these vehicles. We had a independent double wishbone suspension in the front and a multi-link or a 5-link double wishbone setup in the rear. The 6-speed manual models actually got a larger or thicker stabilizer bar both in the front and the rear. That was another difference between the different transmissions. Regarding the brakes, the automatic 5-speeds had a regular unbranded 11.4-inch ventilated front disc, and we also got Brembo ventilated 12.2-inch brakes in the front for the manual transmission. So once again, that's the little changes that I was talking to you about. And regarding that, the 5-speed models actually got 20 mpg in the city, 28 out on the highway. The manual transmission got 20 in the city and 30 on the highway. The overall length of these TLs was 189.3 inches long. Total, we had a wheelbase of 107.9 inches. Just for some reference, the Infiniti G35 of this time actually had one of the largest wheelbases for the segment. It came with 112.2 inches. So this TL has 107.9, but this is a car that I have driven, both the regular TL and the Type S, and the rear legroom really isn't too bad. The curb weight is also different between the automatics and the manuals, of course. The automatic version of the TL weighed in at 3,575 pounds. The manual transmission was about 93 pounds lighter, I believe, at 3,482 pounds. The funny thing is, if you got the optional navigation system, that added 7 pounds to the curb weight of the TL. And pricing in 2004, when the vehicle first came out, both the 5-speed automatic and the 6-speed manual, they both cost exactly the same, $32,650. But as you saw, when you got that 6-speed manual, you got some additional performance upgrades as well. And I just thought this was interesting. But back in 2004, a Acura NSX costed $89,000. That was the MSRP for an NSX at that time. Anyway, back to the TL. The navigation system costed an additional $2,000 back in 04. And if you want to get high performance tires with the 6-speed manual transmission, that was an extra $200, which isn't really a bad price to upgrade the tires. Anyway, let's continue. Let's talk about some interesting facts now regarding the TL from 04 to 08. Alright, so the TL, I mean, Acuras in general, they just have a very interesting way of positioning their vehicles, especially their sedans. They have it in a way where their cars don't really compete with anything. According to Acura, the TL was meant to compete with both the 5 Series and the 3 Series, along with things like the Audi A4, the Mercedes C-Class. So it's just very interesting. In my opinion, I always saw Acura as a fantastic value proposition because it's kind of sized to be closer to a 5 Series, but it's priced to be closer to like a 3 Series. So a ton of value for the consumer for sure with these Acura products, and that continues today as well. Now, to really appreciate this generation of the TL, you had to study the previous generation TL Type S. Compared to the previous generation TL Type S, Acura actually retuned and recalibrated and provided the 04 TL with a high flow intake and exhaust systems to help produce 10 more horsepower over the previous generation Type S TL. So that's why we have here 270 horsepower with the 2004 3.2 liter V6 engine. And by the way, the 3.2 liter V6 engine in the 2004 TL is building upon the technologies of the TL Type S from 03. So that previous generation TL V6 engine, it's a retuned, recalibrated version that we see in 04. So definitely a nice performance engine. And compared to the old 2003 TL Type S, a automatic version of the 04 only weighs 17 pounds more. However, the 6-speed manual version of the TL weighs 76 pounds less than a 2003 TL Type S. I thought that was pretty cool as well. And this 2004 Acura TL, it is the first vehicle in North America to feature an acoustic glass windshield with shade band, and it is also the first vehicle to offer standard DVD audio 5.1 surround sound with that ELS audio system, which was a 225 watt unit. And really, Acura never got enough credit for offering some of the best audio systems with that ELS premium audio. For the money, the ELS, the high-end audio systems that Acura offered, it was actually one of the better ones. So that was another great value proposition with these Acuras. Some other new aspects for the 2004 TLs, a side curtain airbag, that was new for 2004. Same with the rear outboard adjustable head restraints, that was also new for 2004. So we definitely saw some safety enhancements as well with this new generation of the TL. And as mentioned before, that 6-speed manual transmission, which was of course a no-cost option, as you already saw, that was also a first for the Acura TL. It was supposedly a pretty great transmission with short shift throws. Unfortunately, I never drove and could never really find a TL with the 6-speed manual. Both with the regular TL and the Type S models that I've tested, they were both the automatic versions. Unfortunately, I never got to test the manual, but I'm sure it was great. And Acura is touting here that it came with the short shift throws, closely spaced ratios, and proper gearing, of course. And as mentioned, it came with that helical gear type limited slip differential and the other performance goodies when you got that 6-speed manual transmission. It's just crazy how they didn't charge you more to get the 6-speed. And other facts regarding the TL, apparently the weight distribution of these cars wasn't the best. It was around 60% in the front, 40% in the rear. Many people said because of this weight distribution, the vehicle tended to understeer a little bit more. But really, in my testing, I found that the TL of this generation drove great out on the road. I feel like the only place where you can see any detriment in handling is on either a racetrack or especially out on a autocross where you're just constantly making sharp turns and you're just not driving like that out on the street. So that 60-40 weight distribution, I don't really see that as a big deal, but that's where the 6-speed manual transmission with that helical limited slip differential comes in. It's supposed to help reduce some of that understeer, if you will. But once again, even when I drove the automatic versions of these TLs, I didn't really find it to be a big deal. In fact, I mean, when you look at most Audi products, even today, they have the engine sitting over the front axles, and Audis, they drive pretty amazing. They handle great. It's not really that big of an issue. You know, there's proper suspension calibration and tuning here. So once again, that's why I think this TL still drives amazing and continues to offer a organic, high quality feel. Other things, the body and the chassis. The rigidity of the TL was of course increased over the previous generation. In fact, the average torsional rigidity is 24% greater than the 03 TL, and it's even better than the BMW 3 Series. So that's another interesting fact. Plus, the new front bulkhead substantially improves front lateral bending rigidity by 30% over the previous TL that this replaces. Aerodynamics was another priority for the TL. They smoothed out the airflow underneath the vehicle, and they also refined the A-pillar shape, and all of their underbody improvements. It not only benefited the fuel economy, but it also reduced the wind noise and improved the high-speed stability of the 2004 TL. In fact, Acura's own internal testing reveals that the 04 TL is better than the BMW 530i, the Mercedes C320, the Lexus ES300, and the Volvo S60 in terms of its coefficient of drag. And if you remember, towards the beginning of the video, I did say that the automatic versions of the 04 TL is only 17 pounds heavier than an 03 TL Type S, and a 6-speed manual version of the TL is actually 76 pounds lighter than the 2003 TL Type S. Well, that's interesting to note because the 04 to 08 TL was able to achieve those excellent curb weight achievements while offering improved body rigidity over the previous generation with side curtain airbags, larger wheels and tires, two-way power lumbar driver seat support, and with a wider moonroof as well. Other NVH improvements include utilizing a 5mm side glass. The previous generation TL only had a 3.5mm side glass, so that was another improvement with the NVH. Back to the chassis, the driving dynamics is obviously a huge deal with really any Acura product. This 04 TL, you know, going up against a lot of these European vehicles, this TL was supposed to offer crisp and taut feel and flat cornering ability and high levels of grip even with 4 passengers on board. In fact, in Acura's own internal testing, both the 5-speed automatic and the 6-speed manual transmission versions of the TL surpassed the 2003 BMW 530i and the Lexus ES300 in a 600 feet slalom exercise. And of course, Acura was always great at offering plenty of features, you know, being that value proposition in the luxury segment, right? We had a larger passenger cabin space with more headroom and shoulder room and front leg room as well. We also had the tilt telescopic steering wheel. We also had the driver's side 10-way power seat with the power adjustable lumbar support. By the way, the seats were extremely plush and comfortable with these TL products. You had the high quality 8-speaker surround sound system, that ELS unit. You also had the available Acura navigation, which you can pay an additional $2,000 for at the time. You also had keyless memory link with 2 driver profiles. You had a dual zone, dual mode Acura automatic climate control system and a fully lined trunk with concealed parcel shelf speakers. So those were pretty much all of the interesting facts I wanted to share regarding the TL of this generation, the regular TL, mind you. Once again, a separate video is to come in regards to the Type S. All right, let's talk about the various model year changes. So 04, that was the first model year, and in 2005, some of the changes that we can see, the front seat belt buckles are now mounted to the seat frame and the airbag sensors were readjusted, and that's pretty much the only changes to see in 2005. In 2006, you had a new tire pressure monitoring system, and we also had altered engine management, and this was done to reduce torque steer. So that was one of the changes in 2006. However, 2006 is a very important model year to keep in mind because you might think, looking at the spec sheet, that the TL now produces less horsepower. The horsepower rating dropped from 270 to 258, but nothing actually changed with the engine or the horsepower rating. What did change in 2006 is the SAE testing procedures. The way they read and report horsepower and torque figures, it just happened to change. So pretty much every car saw a drop in horsepower and torque in 2006, but that's not really anything for you to worry about. 2007 was, of course, the big year for the TL, primarily because they introduced the Type S model, which I'm going to talk about separately, but just so you know, it came with a new updated 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6 engine, pushing out 286 horsepower, high performance Brembo brakes, new 17-inch wheels, quad tailpipes. I mean, there's like, the list goes on and on. Okay, the Type S is going to get its own video, but regarding the regular TLs, they actually got a subtle refresh with the exterior and with the interior as well. But what they did in 2007 is, because the Type S came out, there was no longer really a regular TL manual transmission model. Now they made the 6-speed manual bespoke to the Type S only. Same thing with the Brembo brakes. And 2008 saw no new changes. So that's everything that I wanted to share with you regarding the TL. Let me know if you learned something new, and if you're an owner of the TL, please let us know your thoughts, how the vehicle is holding up for you, and if there's any other interesting facts that you want to share regarding the TL, please do so in the comment section. Now, regarding reliability, if you're actually going to buy one of these cars, well, apparently, as great as these transmissions were, there were some issues with Honda Acura transmissions, both with the manuals and even the automatics during the early 2000s. So, you know, if you're shopping in the used car market, you can have fun dealing with that. And if you want a manual version of the TL that's not clapped out, good luck with that. They're pretty much impossible to find. Fortunately, the automatics, they don't feel too bad. They respond pretty well. I don't mind it. So those are pretty much my thoughts regarding this vehicle. I'll have my next video on the end screen here. Click on it and I will see you there.